I updated, it was probably right after my birthday, late August, early September. And I was making the decision as to whether or not I was going to relocate from Columbus to Dallas, Texas. So I decided to do that. Initially, I was traveling, before that, I was traveling a lot between Columbus and Dallas, trying to, maintain my lifestyle and whatnot. And then once I made the decision to transition to Dallas, I think it was a little bit of a challenge. I was not in familiar surroundings in terms of my home. I spent most of my time away from my home. If I wasn't in the office, then I was looking for a house, just trying to figure everything out and transition everything. The move from Columbus and coordinating that, and things didn't work out the way that I had planned, and all of that stuff. So I have not been as focused. So I certainly am not at the weight that I wanted to be at on my 1 year anniversary, but I am happy that I have continued to lose weight. It's just been really slow, and I went off my exercise program. Probably a couple of months went by, maybe more. I think the last time I really was consistent with exercise was in October. So I have accomplished in this year a weight loss of over 130 pounds. So that ain't nothing to sneeze at. Would I have liked it to have been 150? Yeah, I would have. But I have learned not to dwell on that kind of thing. I'm happy with my progress. I'm very different than I was a year ago. So things are moving in the direction that I want them to. So I moved from Columbus. I've been in my house now for just about a month. I'm, happy. I had a little bit of sticker shock I didn't expect in terms of where I wanted to live and whatnot, that the difference in the price was going to be quite what it is. I'm the kind of person that actually likes to live in old houses, and I like to live in the city. So it ain't cheap to live in Dallas. Now, it's all, I think, relative. Certainly it's not like California or, somewhere else. So the cost of living in the grand scheme of things here in Texas is fine. I'm really happy that I made the move. This year was the first year in 8 years that I spent both Thanksgiving and Christmas with my family. It was really nice. I've reconnected with friends, and I feel really good about making that decision. It's, I guess number 2, the second life-changing decision I made over the course of the year. So just to talk about that briefly, and where I am and how I feel about myself and whatnot, over the past year, I certainly still have, challenges, I think, from a confidence standpoint in social situations, but I have, met people, and certainly I've reconnected with friends. But it's still a challenge for me. But I do move around in this world differently. I feel differently about myself if I walk into an environment where I don't know people. So in that regard, I would say that my confidence has increased. I'm certainly able to do things that I couldn't do before, in terms of, my fitness level and just all of it. It's so hard to explain, I think, you know, just in some ways I feel the same, but in some ways I feel completely different. Or it's funny how I will look at, you know, clothes now that I go to put on, and I think that they don't look that small. But then I go and I see something that I wore that was 3 sizes bigger in a store, and I'll pull out that size and I'm like, wow, that's really big. And imagine you were 6 sizes bigger than that. So I think, you know, just getting my mind wrapped around, you know, kind of what I looked like before and what I look like now has been interesting. You know, I will walk by a mirror occasionally and forget and kind of startle myself. Or I certainly am surprised every single time I see myself in a picture or I see myself up against someone else and I'm like, you know, you're looking pretty good there. So I still don't take a lot of pictures though. But anyway, so, you know, it's been a mental transformation for me over these past 12 months. You know, it's been obviously the physical transportation. You know, my health is good. I feel good about things. You know, I am, you know, I'm back on my exercise regime. I dropped off quite a bit, and it's depressing when you get started back up and you realize just how much ground you've lost. But that's okay. I've been consistent for the past several weeks, and I realize that it really is important to me from a lifestyle standpoint that exercise really be a part of my life. I feel very different when I am, you know, consistently working out. And it's interesting that I'm so much more committed to it, I feel like, than I ever have been before. You know, I was very consistent, probably in the first 8 months. And then I dropped off. And so, I've never consistently worked out for 8 months before, so that was amazing. But when I would drop off on exercise programs before and I would try to come back, I'd come back to it 1 or 2 days and then I wouldn't continue. This time I just picked right back up and started back over, and you know what? I'm back in the groove of things. So, you know, I think my mindset about things is very different, and I would give up very easily on things like that before, where that's not the case with me anymore. So, you know, that's been nice. You know, my dating life is non-existent, but, you know, I think it's because maybe I don't get out very much. I'm always working. I spend a lot of time at the office, so, you know, that's one of the things, and that's understandable. I mean, I'm transitioning into a new environment that needed a lot of work done, and, you know, just getting things where they need to be, but I'm feeling better about that and not having to spend, you know, as much time at work. So I'm transitioning away from all of those hours so that I can have a little bit more of a social life and maybe meet somebody. It's interesting, while I'm on that topic, my brother wants to, you know, hook me up with a really good friend of his. And, you know, I just kind of blow it off or whatever. But this is a friend that's been his friend since high school. I know this person. For whatever reason, I don't really know him. But it's his best friend. I know of him. He knows of me. It's not like we're strangers. But it kind of hurt my feelings because this is something that has never come up. So that means that before, you know, it's not something that would have even crossed your mind. You didn't think that I was, quote, I guess, good enough. And now it's like, oh, yeah, I need to hook you up with so-and-so. I think you guys would be really great. And I'm just, I don't know. I mean, what can you say? I mean, obviously, understand, but it still doesn't hurt my feelings any less, So it is what it is. I'm moving on, right? So I did want to, I did want to end. I know I'm all over the place, and I think it's just because I haven't made an update in so long, and I want to make it really short, and I want to kind of tell where I am and what I'm doing and that kind of thing and where I am in my life. So, oh well, I'm all over the place. But a year ago, or a little less than a year ago, I did a letter to myself, and I read it to myself. And it was really just talking about some, how I felt. And then I also kind of projected out a year and what things would be like for me in a year. And I think, my plan was to read it on January 29, 2015. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to read my letter to myself. I haven't looked at this since I first read it. So here we go. Letter to myself to be reviewed on January 29th, 2015. 5 weeks ago today, you took a giant step towards changing your life. You asked for help and acquired a tool that could help to set you up for success. You had weight loss surgery. It's amazing what a difference a year makes. You have achieved many milestones and had so many victories. The pain and the uncertainty and the frustration and the anxiety have all been worth it. You had to go through it to be your best self. You had to be vulnerable, and look at you now. You are more confident and you're living your life. No more being on the sidelines. No more being afraid. No more worrying about whether you will fit in, both literally and figuratively. You're not at your ultimate goal yet, and there's still work to do. Undoubtedly, the work will be more difficult, but you are prepared. You have built a foundation that has empowered you. You're not letting anything stand in the way of getting what you want out of life. You are all in. I'm so proud of you, Alicia. You have embraced life and are better for having done so. Keep your eyes on the prize and do not settle. Don't stop believing in yourself because you've got this. And I dated that March 5th, 2014. So, I think, I don't know. I mean, it's been, I think, transformational for me. And I feel very different about the person that I am. And I feel very different about my future. And I am, healthier than I've ever been as an adult. I am more content and happier than I've ever been. Is my life all sunshine and roses? No. But I just have a different outlook. And I just feel different about the space that I occupy in this world. And I'm thankful that I, stood up for myself. And I decided that I wasn't going to live the life that I was living anymore. And I wasn't going to fake it through this world and pretend like everything was great. So, obviously, I don't want to end on a sad note. And it's not a sad thing. It's a really good thing. It's a really good thing.